Hello, everyone. My name is Lady Calamere. I welcome you to my channel. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. And whether you have children or not, if you're a mother of cats or dogs or have snakes, happy Mother's Day to you. If anyone who has feather babies, fur babies, scaly babies. So, I'm doing my 310th presentation. And it will be on an Aztec goddess. Yes, we're going to the Aztecs again. Chalchiuhtlicue. I know it's a tongue twister, but for me, I'm trying to pronounce it right. I hope I am pronouncing as correctly as I can. I do not speak the Nahuatl tongue. So we also got this card from... Oh, where's the box? I don't know where I put the box. Here we are. Santa Muerte Oracle. This is Chalchiuhtlicue. Now, who is she? Her name was said to mean she of the jade skirt. However, in a modern take by a professor named Arturo Montana, Montero, sorry, not Montana, Montero, Arturo Montero. I remember him because I had a friend named Arturo, and Montero, there's an actor named Tony Montero. This is how I put information together and how I remember it. So, according to this professor, her name means she of the skirt of precious green gems. So she was the great goddess, the ruler of the fourth sun, the fourth time we had the earth. We're on the fifth sun, S-U-N. So the fifth sun, which is supposed to be the final sun, I guess it will go back to the first sun before it resets. So she hit the reset button. Reasons why is it depending on your codex and the stories is A, she was pissed off at humanity. She was pissed off at the injustice. B, she was offended by the gods and she wanted to show her powers. So, how did this world end? You've heard it in many stories, including the Bible. The Great Flood. Now, of course, in the biblical time period, according to the Great Flood, there were still civilizations prospering during that time, so it was earlier than that. But you hear it in the ancient different stories. You have it in the Aztecs, you have it among the Sumerians and the Babylonians, you have it among the Bible. So, a great flood. So her primary sources that we find her in is in the Diego Duran, the Codex Barbonicus, and the Florentine Codex. So she's generally said to mean she of the jade skirt. And why jade? Well, what it means is the water here. So as you can see, the flowing skirt here. And reason why I have this color is because waters sometimes looked like this. I mean, especially in that area. Her consort, her husband was, and I did a presentation on him, Tlaloc. And this is an actual replica statue of her. She is the goddess of waters. She's the goddess of the drinkable waters, especially drinkable waters, and standing waters, streams, and brooks, and rivers. So, yeah, the goddess of water. She is the sister, and she's depending her sister, as well as a wife of Tlaloc, and she was the mother of the Tlaloques. That's plural, the children she had with Tlaloc. But in other stories, she's a mother of Tlaloc. But usually the main theme is that she's the sister and even wife of Tlaloc. So, even though we are in the fifth sun, the people of the Aztec empires and the Mexica people honored this goddess. She was a goddess of the women. All right, she represented women. She represented all the woman's concerns and backed in woman's work. She represented the feminine organs, or breast, or estrogen, the uterus, okay, our flow of our menstrual cycles. She represented all that. She represents in modern times even diseases that affect women. Like some men can get breast cancer. It's not common, but there are men that can get cyst and breast cancer. It doesn't matter how manly you are. I mean, it doesn't matter. Some men can get breast cancer. But what men cannot get is ovarian cancer and uterine cancer. Okay, we can get fibroids in our uterus. So she represents all these issues, and to help with these issues, she is the goddess. She's the patroness. She's the matroness of, or matron or patroness, whatever, of childbirth, pregnant women, and she is a protectress of newborns and little children, whether they are boys or girls. She protects little children. Okay? So she represents women, the feminine powers. Another thing is her headdress is, you see the tassels and everything. This is her headdress, and it's said to be like a cotton band and cotton balls and like balls of cotton hanging off her. So her plant is cotton, but also maize. She also represents the corn. She also dealt with the agriculture and irrigation of the crops, as well as corn. Also prickly pears. And I remember that from the series The Sinner. I remember the prickly pear all around. The prickly pear, the prickly pear, the prickly pear. This is how my mind puts things together. They didn't mention this goddess, but the prickly pear. So, there's this guy, killer, that was obsessed with all around the prickly pear, the prickly pear, the prickly pear. So anyways, so then I got myself some prickly pear tea. Okay, enough with the prickly pear. So she dealt with the prosperity of what she can give through water. Water is life. Remember the memes? Water is life. You can't drink oil, but you can drink water. But she represents prosperity of what water can bring. Okay, you have a zombie apocalypse. The world is ended because of those zombies. Are you going to be concerned about money? You'll be more concerned about water. You're going to be concerned about food. You're going to be concerned about shelter, concerned about medicine, right? You're going to be concerned about weapons and ammunition. Cash is gone. So, yeah. So, and one of your most important nutrients, even today, the most important nutrient is water. Believe it or not, it's a nutrient. Clean water, fresh water. We can't irrigate our crops with salt water. We can't drink salt water unless it's, you can't drink ocean water unless it's desalinized. So, yeah, that's her in a nutshell right there. So, She was also the goddess and the lady of navigation. All right. So not only did she was a protector, she also helped in childbirth. But she has some connections with Ishel, which I did a presentation on. Ishel is a Mayan goddess. So like Ishel, this lady is lunar. Her powers are lunar powers. She is the goddess of women. She's like Ishel. She's a goddess of waters like Ishel, and all that, and goddess of children. And I know I repeat a little bit, but that's how I learn. That's how I teach. So she also represented the embryonic fluid. The embryonic fluid is what she represented. Okay. Now, she is said to reside in the mountains, where she releases her life nourishing water. And she releases that when it is appropriate. So, depending on the communities, she was associated with this mountain, no, she was associated with that mountain, no, she was associated with those mountains over there. Either way, the mountains she was associated with. So then all the rivers were said to flow from the mountains, according to the Aztec cosmology and beliefs, and that they were held in jars, olas and oyas, and these jars that were filled with her water, like embryonic fluid. Okay, from the spring from the womb of the mountain, and to come down and to give to the people, and to give to the animals, and that the people can use it for their crops. So now the Christians come along and say, oh, she's also a goddess of baptism. Okay, so children were blessed with the waters, they were cleaned in the water. I wouldn't call it a baptism, something, or, but she does represent cleansing through water and baptism in parentheses with water. So let me read a little bit from this card. I'll read the card to you. And again, from Santa Muerte Oracle by Fabio Lestrani. So it's by Fabio Lestrani. Chalchiuhtlicue, goddess of all the waters, lakes, seas, and sailors, as well as a goddess of beauty and fertility. She reminds us of how development and progress can only be possible if we view life as a benevolent river, a moving event, and not as something static. The flow expressed by the love card, number 4, which is, if understood and allowed to run, allows Chalchiuhtlicue to bring beauty and ardor instead of lightning and storms. The advice of the dead: do not fight against the flow you are in. A river cannot be tamed with force. You must surrender to its current and use its strength as if it were your own. So she is flowing. She is a nurturer. But she is kind, she is generous, she is gentle, but yet she also has that aspect of destroyer. So she nourishes life, but she's also the destroyer of world. I mean, the world. She's a great resetter. She hits the reset button. So on the fourth world. Her element is water. Her planetary powers is the moon. So we can also, good day to worship her is on a Monday. But we can worship her Oh, goodness. Little Boo had the sniffles. Hi, Lady Boss. She's right behind me. She's camera shy today. She should come onto the camera and show her beautiful self to the whole world. Now, this goddess sometimes is depicted as wearing a bluish green skirt from, of course, Chalchiuhtlicue, she of the jade skirt, or she of the precious gem skirt. She has black lines on her face, like from vertical black lines below her cheeks and going down to her chin, to her where her chin is. She usually wears a nose plug made of jade, and sometimes with her, newborn infants are seen floating in a water flow with her. Now, her statues were often carved out of other green stones, not just jade, but jade as well as other green stones. She may occasionally use the same googly eye, almost like big round eyes mask that her husband, brother Tlaloc, wears. So, in the Codex Borgia, this goddess is wearing a headdress made of serpents and dress ornaments with the same markings that her husband has. And she has an ornament on her nose ornament, a nose ornament like a half moon, which is a snake itself. And the snake is marked with dots and stripes. And of course, when Cortez came, he tried to erase her. He destroyed a lot of her images. When he killed, crushed, and destroyed the Aztec nation. So there was a priest as well as a Spanish conquistador named Fray Diego Duran. I remember by Duran. And Fray, because of the god Fray, just replaced the E with an A. So this is how I learned. Fray Diego Duran, who collected the lore of the Aztecs, right? Of the Aztec Empire, the peoples. And he said that this goddess was pretty much universally loved, worshipped, and revered by the Aztecs. That she was the power of the water, even the oceans as well. But also, he said that she governed the springs, the rivers, the brooks, the oceans, and appeared both benevolent and malevolent, both negative and positive guises. For she brought the irrigation. She was the one responsible for the irrigation canals for growing the crops and the maize. But when she's pissed off, she made the canals empty and brought drought. And then she, with Chicomequatl, I hope I pronounced it right, Chicomequatl, a snake goddess, where she becomes dangerous, and then all these venomous creatures are there. So she's also known for creating big, massive storms, making it dangerous for navigation in the water, as well as bringing on whirlpools, to pull in ships and boats, destroy them. So she is the guardian of women. She's the guardian of children. She's the guardian of water. She's the water guardian. Now, she ruled over the fourth world, and then she destroyed it. And then you have the Great Deluge. So, so her festivals, pretty much the whole entire month of February, what we call February now, they were usually on the tops of mountains. And there was reports of sacrifice of children. Could that be true? With someone who's guardian of children? Maybe. And anyway, so the festival of the month of February is dedicated to this goddess. So she was in the Aztec calendar. She was the 6th month of the Aztec year. And this took place during the monsoon season, the rainy season. Might as well call it the monsoons. So there were sacrifices given in the water, things thrown into water, her offerings and sacrifices were done and thrown into the water. And this event involves singing, dancing, fasting, then feasting. And of course, some of the priests would do some of their own sacrifices to themselves and cut themselves or bloodlet. So things that were given to her were quail, the blood of quail, corn, maize, copal resin. So what would be her offerings today? We can give her quail meat, chicken, go to Bojangles or go to KFC or Popeyes. You can get her chicken there. You can also give her maize or corn, anything made of the corn or maize. Can't go wrong with chocolate. Chocolate's always sacred. Chocolate milk, hot chocolate, chocolate powder, the cocoa beans, anything like that. Cotton plants, or cotton balls, or things made of cotton. Give her give her stones that are green. You could think of it like she's also, so her precious stones are jade and turquoise, but you can also throw in some malachite in there, throw in some green jasper, you can throw in emeralds, Chamkey rubies, think of things like that to give her. Of course, water, especially sweet, fresh water, and prickly pear. Don't forget the prickly pear. Prickly pear tea. juice or the prickly pear. So give her prickly pears. And if you don't have prickly pears, then, give her regular pears. That's fine. But also, people would you can give her fruits. Think of melons. There are also green melons you can give her. But melons in general, star fruits, cucumbers. Get creative. Give her a salad greens. So of course greens and blues are her color, as you can see here. And since she's lunar, adorn her with silver. And you can honor her during the full moon Espat. So that's also a good time to honor her. And remember, February is a good time. So of course, human sacrifice were given to her. The captives through war, the spoiled, the people that were captured as spoils of war. That was given to her. And how long have I been talking? Wow, I thought I was only talking about 10-15 minutes. It's already 27 minutes. Is she approachable? Yeah, she is. We can honor her during Mother's Day as a mother, because she is a mother. So that's also a day we can make hers. So she is a goddess that is a lot more beneficial than she was malicious, to be honest. She really was, and she really is. So she was more associated with the water, groundwater on the ground, than she was with falling rain. So she dealt like Tlaloc is going to deal with rain, one of the rain gods. So with her husband, she ruled over the land of Tlalocan. And that's described as, when you die, it's like a type of paradise, being fertile land and rich, and where people who died by waterborne diseases and drowning and stuff spent their afterlife. Of course, the Christians said, it's another type of hell. It's not our God. You can go to hell. Yeah. But that's me being facetious right there. So, what else can I talk about her? She, even during the fourth sun, she showed great love and concern and empathy for the people. And she was the one to make the land fertile and rich for their benefit. And even in the fifth son, she still does that. But she doesn't rule the fifth son. So there's also a story about Chalchiuhtlicue stirring up the shit to get her to reset things, and said that he was jealous of all the other gods, and so he wanted to stir some crap up with Chalchiuhtlicue, and he used her love and compassion for all against her. And Chalchiuhtlicue, I do love him, mocked and made fun of and made jest about this goddess's kindness, and he claimed that her love was fake and she was faking it, and the love that she had for her people, and that she was only kind so that they would worship her and give her stuff and adore her. And she's the sensitive goddess, and these accusations hurt her, really hurt her. So she began, and then she began to cry and cry and cry and cry. Being a water goddess, she couldn't stop. She was emotional, over emotional. So here we can see her associated with Pisces of that. And she cried and cried and cried and cried. For 52 years she cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. So this is one of the stories how it ended. And cried and cried. Cry Me a River, where she cried a whole ocean. According to that, the tears flowed so hard. And her eyes, when you have those really bad cry and you're really sad, you're emotional, and your eyes start to feel like burn and the tears feel really warm. Well, her tears became tears of blood. And the world drowned through her tears of sadness. And of course, the people were said in the fourth age to turn into fish to survive. I don't know, did they mean like submarines? Did they go into submarines? They didn't have a word for that. And back in 1980, we didn't have a word for Google. If I said, why don't you go Google someone in 1980, they'll look at me like, huh? Or why don't you post it on Facebook in 1980? We didn't have words for that. I don't know. Or maybe they magically turned into fish, and that's how fish are said to have been made. Either way, the people turned into fish. And in one story, it said that this flood was so severe that the heavens collapsed. And that Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca had to become giant trees to hold up the heavens until this goddess stopped crying and the flood's waters receded. So that's one of the things where she was just over emotional, and through her emotions things drown. I mean, it's basically drowning in your own tears, drowning in your own emotions. So here we see that she is not only a goddess who deals with nourishment and dealing with creation, but she also deals with destruction. So she is associated with fertility, not just of the land, but pregnancy of women. She could be used to protect pregnant mothers. So midwives would pray to Chalchiuhtlicue during, helping a woman giving birth. And after the infant was born, it was washed in water and consecrated in this goddess's name. So henceforth, that's why Christians call it baptism. So when in the arid parts of Mexico, especially back then, water especially was extremely precious. It was desired, but you also had the increase of flash floods because of heavy rainwater or melt water from the mountains, and can cause flooding. So of course, death with water was pretty common, death by water. So certain diseases linked to water too. Would go to Tlalocan. And what little boo, what you doing? Do you hear Lady Boss? Come on up before I'm gonna end this. We've been talking for 37 minutes and you haven't shown your pretty face, little boo. Come on, you're a star. You know you are. Oh, she just wants to be shy. She just wants to be in the background. So, what else can I talk about her? She represents us. We need to control our emotions. That our emotions can cause us to destroy things. I mean, you don't, and also drowning in your own emotions. And that also deals with depression, PTSD, CPTSD. And bipolar, where you can be happy one minute and all of a sudden just drowning in your tears. So she represents that. She's also the goddess of marriages, of marriage, and of love. I mean, I'm talking about like love. So anything to do with hand fasting or marriage, she's a goddess of weddings, all of that. And remember, she's also a goddess of navigation. Trying to think what else. Oh, you can give her freshwater pearls. Go back to your offerings. Put in freshwater pearls. That's pretty good offerings. Or just pearls, regular pearls. But definitely freshwater pearls would be a good offering for this goddess. And there's also a thing called green amethyst. Look it up. It's amethyst that grew to nature and everything turns green. So, yeah, just moldavite is a green stone. So one can think about giving, her a piece of moldavite. Or you can give her pretty faceted pieces of green glass that look very pretty. What else is about her? She is she's life, but she's also the end of life, as she represents. So there are different stories about why the fourth world ends, and what happened and why she did what she did. And so anyways, I really hope you enjoyed this presentation. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, like and subscribe to my channel, share my channel with other people. And today I want to give you a message because I lost several friends this year. They died. And to just celebrate, to cherish each moment with people you love. Because you never know when they're going to die. So that's a message I want to give to you. To cherish your loved ones, cherish your mother, your father, your sister, your brothers, your friends, your pets that are your family. Cherish yourself as well. Nourish yourself and nourish others. If you have something that you don't want anymore, maybe think about donating it to a thrift store or to a charity. Some people's garbage are another person's treasure. Maybe because your TV doesn't have AI or that, it's from 2000. Maybe someone would want that TV. Because that would be a difference between them having a television and not having a television. So you just think of it that way. Donate your old textbooks. You never know if someone might be interested, even though it may be from 10 or 12 years. I just recently donated a lot of my vet tech books, my college books. I paid, they were expensive, but I'm not using them. I'm sure a vet office may want it, or aspiring vet tech, or someone who just wants to have that in our house to look at, and learn. You never know. So anyways, I want to thank you for watching it. I also want to dedicate this video to Charlie O'Barley. Pretty cat. And, yeah. So reach out to your friend who's hurting. Because that might be a difference between life and death. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. And as always, blessed be.